In April 1861, America went to war with itself. But the war did not begin with gunfire. It began decades earlier, in courtrooms, in Congress, and in compromise. This is why the Civil War really started. At the center of the conflict was slavery. By 1860, nearly 4 million enslaved people lived in the southern states. The southern economy depended heavily on plantation agriculture, especially cotton. By the 1850s, cotton made up more than half of all U.S. exports. That economic power shaped politics. Meanwhile, the North was industrializing. Factories expanded. Railroads connected cities. Banks financed manufacturing. Two different economic systems inside one country. The question became unavoidable. Would slavery expand into new territories? That question would define the 1850s. In 1820, Congress attempted to control the tension. Missouri entered the Union as a slave state. Maine entered as a free state. Slavery was banned north of latitude 36 degrees 30 minutes within the Louisiana Territory. For a moment, balance was restored in the Senate. But it did not solve the issue. It postponed it. Every new territory would reopen the same argument. After the Mexican-American War, the United States gained vast western lands. Again, the question returned: free or slave? The Compromise of 1850 admitted California as a free state, but it also strengthened the Fugitive Slave Act. This law required citizens, even in free states, to assist in capturing escaped enslaved people. For many in the North, this crossed a line. They were now legally forced to participate in maintaining slavery. Tension between regions intensified. In 1854, Congress passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act. It repealed the Missouri Compromise line. Instead, it introduced popular sovereignty. Settlers in each territory would vote on whether slavery would be allowed. The result was violence. Pro-slavery and anti-slavery groups flooded into Kansas. Armed conflict broke out. The period became known as Bleeding Kansas. The debate was no longer theoretical, it was physical. In 1857, the Supreme Court ruled in Dred Scott v. Sandford. The court declared that African Americans were not citizens, and Congress had no authority to ban slavery in the territories. This decision shocked the North. It celebrated the South. It suggested slavery could expand anywhere. Trust in compromise weakened even further. In November 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president. Lincoln opposed the expansion of slavery into new territories. He did not promise immediate abolition, but Southern leaders believed their political power was shrinking. Lincoln won the presidency without carrying most Southern states. To many in the South, this proved they no longer had influence in federal politics. Between December 1860 and February 1861, 7 Southern states seceded from the Union. They formed the Confederate States of America. The nation was now divided. On April 12, 1861, Confederate forces fired on Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. The bombardment lasted 34 hours. No soldiers were killed in the initial attack, but the war had begun. Within months, 4 more states joined the Confederacy. The United States was at war with itself. The Civil War was not caused by one battle, or one election, or one law. It was caused by decades of unresolved conflict over slavery, its morality, its expansion, and its political power. Economic differences deepened division. Political compromises delayed solutions. Court decisions intensified the crisis. By 1861, the system could no longer contain the tension. A nation founded on liberty was divided over human bondage. When compromise collapsed, war followed. If you want the next deep dive into what happened after 1865 and how Reconstruction reshaped America, subscribe to Unfinished History USA, because history doesn't end when the war does. If you want the next deep dive into Reconstruction and what happened after 1865, subscribe to Unfinished History USA, because history doesn't end when the war does.